The stars over Lemuria Prime shimmered like scattered gemstones against the obsidian void, each one a distant sun lighting the edges of a galaxy teeming with life. From his tiny window in the dormitory of the Intergalactic Academy, Kale Rin, a 19-year-old human, traced the constellations with a lazy finger. He had spent countless nights gazing at the stars, but tonight, something felt different. Electric, almost. The usual hum of starships and the occasional distant chatter of alien cadets felt muted, as if the universe had pressed pause. Kale wasn't exactly popular. Humans were rare in the academy, and most species regarded them as fragile and unremarkable. Kale had accepted this quietly, focusing instead on his studies in astroengineering and xenolinguistics. But deep down, he often fantasized about being noticed, not just as a novelty, but as someone who mattered. He never expected that his moment would come in the form of an alien princess, who would appear at his door at midnight, looking like she had stepped out of a dream. A soft metallic knock echoed through his room. Startled, Kale jumped, accidentally knocking over a stack of hollow notebooks. He mumbled. "Hi," came a voice lilting and strange, like wind chimes in a crystal cave. I'm Princess Liara of Veora." Kale froze, blinking at the figure in the doorway. Liara was tall for a Veoran, slender with iridescent skin that shimmered faintly in the dim light. Her hair floated around her like a cloud of liquid silver, and her eyes. Kale had never seen eyes like that. Deep violet with flecks of starlight, hypnotic and impossibly alien. She was wearing a robe that looked almost ceremonial, but the way it clung to her made Kale painfully aware of his own human awkwardness in comparison. Hello," Kale stammered. His voice cracked, betraying the sudden thrum of nerves. Liara tilted her head, her expression curious, almost mischievous. "I have a request," she said. "May I shower in your room?" Kale choked on his own breath. "Excuse me." Her smile was a mixture of embarrassment and resolve. My quarters have a system malfunction. The hydrothermic regulators are offline. I was told humans are more accommodating. At least, that's what the ambassador said." Kale's brain scrambled. This was a lot to process. A princess, an alien princess, was asking to use his bathroom. In his room. At midnight. The logical part of him wanted to refuse outright. The human part of him, the part that had watched too many romantic holodramas, wondered if he had somehow stumbled into a plotline he didn't deserve. I guess," he finally managed. "But, it's just a small shower and, he waved vaguely toward the cramped bathroom attached to his dorm. Liara's lips curved in relief. "Thank you," she whispered, and for a moment, Kale could only watch as she stepped inside, leaving behind a faint scent of jasmine and ozone. The bathroom was tiny. Steam quickly filled the room as Liara activated the shower, her delicate fingers pressing holographic controls. The water was a faint lavender, glowing softly, and Kale couldn't help but watch the tendrils of mist curling in the air, shimmering in the light. He knew he shouldn't, this was a private moment, yet he found himself rooted to the spot. "You're staring," Liara said suddenly, her voice teasing. Kale flushed, flailing for words. Just curious about Veoran showers." Liara laughed, a sound like silver bells. "Curious, huh? Humans are interesting creatures. You always seem so grounded, even when surrounded by impossible stars." "I like that." That simple compliment sent a shiver down Kale's spine. He had never imagined an alien princess could find him appealing. And yet, here she was, talking to him as if the world had shrunk to this tiny dorm room and nothing else mattered. I've always wondered," Kale said, surprising himself, "what it's like to be royalty, to see all those worlds and people." Liara leaned against the wall, water droplets catching the light. "It's lonely," she admitted. "Everyone bows, everyone watches, but no one sees you." "Not really. Until now." Her eyes locked onto his, unflinching raw. For a heartbeat, time seemed to stretch, the universe narrowing to two beings in a tiny human dormitory, bound by curiosity and a strange gravitational pull that had nothing to do with stars. Kale swallowed. I'm glad you came to me, then." She smiled softly, and the tension melted like ice in sunlight. "Me too." When Liara finished, she wrapped herself in a towel and stepped out, dripping slightly. Kale quickly grabbed a spare robe from his closet and offered it. She accepted it with a quiet grace that made his heart race. "Thank you," she murmured, brushing a silver lock of hair from her face. She looked at him with something deeper than gratitude, something intimate and fragile. "I trust you, Kale." That word, trust, echoed in his mind. He had never been trusted like that before, not by anyone. And suddenly, he realized he didn't want this moment to end. Over the next few weeks, Liara began visiting Kale regularly. Each time, the boundary between human and alien blurred. They shared hollow stories of their worlds, debated interstellar politics, and laughed over the quirks of their vastly different biology. Liara taught him the Vaeran language, and Kale taught her human slang, often with comic misunderstandings. But beneath the humor, a quiet intimacy grew. One evening, as they sat on the dorm rooftop watching a binary star system, Liara rested her head on Kale's shoulder. "Do you think we could ever be together?" she whispered, her voice almost lost in the wind. Kale's heart thumped painfully. I don't see why not," he said, though his mind raced with the complications. Aliens, humans, interstellar politics. And yet in that moment none of that mattered. What mattered was her, and him, and the warmth of her presence. Their romance blossomed slowly, carefully. There were stolen touches in the hallway, quiet conversations under starlit skies, and the thrill of secrecy as they navigated the expectations of their worlds. Liara's status as a princess made everything complicated, but Kale's steady humanity grounded her in ways her palace walls never could. The climax came during the Academy's annual Stellar Gala, a massive event where cadets and dignitaries from across the galaxy gathered. Liara was expected to attend in full ceremonial regalia, and Kale, clad in his best human suit, felt entirely out of place. The gala hall was a swirl of alien colors, glittering lights, and music that defied physics, yet Kale's attention was fixed solely on Liara. She descended the grand staircase, glowing under the twin chandeliers, her robe now transformed into a flowing gown of starlight fabric. Kale felt his breath catch. You're radiant," he whispered. Liara's eyes met his across the hall, and she smiled. Then, in a move that startled the entire assembly, she left her attendants, strode across the hall, and took Kale's hand. "I choose him," she said, her voice carrying effortlessly. "Kale Rin. My companion, my friend, my love." Gasps rippled through the crowd. Whispers erupted. And yet, Kale only felt the warmth of her hand, the sincerity in her gaze, and the impossible happiness of the moment. I choose you too," Kale said, feeling the weight of words he had rehearsed 1,000 times finally settle in. The rest of the evening blurred into a dream. They danced under the twin suns projected in the gala's holographic dome, laughed at alien melodies, and whispered secrets that belonged only to them. For the first time, Kale understood what it meant to be seen completely, by someone extraordinary, in a universe vast enough to swallow 1,000 worlds. After the gala, Liara insisted on returning to Kale's dorm, as she had on so many nights before. But this time it was different. They were no longer merely secret companions. They were partners, bound by affection, trust, and the reckless courage of love that defied convention. Sitting on his bed, Liara traced the lines of his hand with delicate fingers. "You know," she said softly, "I used to be terrified of being alone. But now, I feel like I belong." Kale held her closer, his heart full. "You do. You belong with me." And in that tiny human dorm, amidst the ordinary clutter of hollow notebooks, old tools and scattered clothes, the alien princess whispered once more, the words carrying a promise that would echo through the stars. "Thank you for letting me shower in your room." Kale laughed, pulling her into a tight embrace. "I think we've outgrown the shower request," he teased. She smiled, resting her head against his chest. "Maybe," she admitted. "But some things, some traditions, are worth keeping." And as the first rays of Lemuria Prime's sun filtered through the window, casting golden light over their intertwined hands, Kale realized that love, strange, improbable, and radiant, could bloom anywhere. Even in a cramped dorm room, between a human and an alien princess, at midnight, under the vastness of an endless galaxy. From that night onward, Kale and Liara faced the challenges of their worlds together, but never apart. They navigated royal duties, interstellar politics, and cultural differences, always returning to the quiet intimacy of their shared room. And in those stolen moments, they found a universe more wondrous than any star system outside their window. One built from trust, laughter, and love that transcended planets, species, and time itself. Because sometimes, the most extraordinary love stories begin with the simplest of questions. Can I shower in your room, human? And sometimes that question changes everything.